Welcome to another episode from HenRefurb. This episode we are rolling the chassis, so the back axle is fitted, the wheels and the rear springs all attached to the chassis, which makes the chassis mobile at last. And I am restoring the brake contraption, so the pedal, the bracketry and the master cylinder. So without further ado, stay tuned. Done. Rear springs all in. My god, they are so heavy. I've put the springs on jacks now. You can see left one and the right one just there, because they're too heavy for the those outriggers now to be taking any weight, and obviously we don't need them anymore. So yeah, there we go. There's a huge, massive gap to get the axle through. So the axle sits on top of the springs either side, and so it'd be very easy feeding that through, I think. Very happy with that. What on earth did I just witness, I hear you say? Well, I wrapped the whole axle up so that we couldn't scratch it if we knocked it, because heavy things are very easy to scratch when you knock them into stuff. And then I rustled up some muscle power to help me lift it into position, because it's way too heavy to move by myself. But it's in a position now where I should be able to just basically hoik the ends off, pull back the duvet cover and clamp it to the springs. And when I've clamped it to the springs, I can jack it up and stick the wheels on, and then we have a rolling chassis. So here we go. There we go. Back axle finally in place, back where it belongs. This is so much better, having it all in situ. Takes up a lot less space and it does look good. I think it's now time to have a good look at the brake master cylinder. and all the various bits attached to it. I'm just going to strip it all down into component form and then go through and sandblast it all and basically paint it, put it back together. This worked perfectly when it was on the Dodge, so there's no reason why I should have to do anything more than make it look pretty. So here we go. Right, so here's all the bits back out of the parts washer. They've been soaking for about a week, I think. So got the brake pedal, the master cylinder, the big lump of metal that holds it all together, and all the bits and bobs which they've soaked, and I've given them a quick whiz on the wire wheel, which is why they look quite shiny. So just a few things to note. This master cylinder, that's the reservoir in there where you fill the brake fluid. It's got 6 holes, but one of them is broken. It's supposed to look like that one, but it's broken. And on this, it's got 6 holes, but one of them's been plugged with a little, I don't know, aluminium nubbin. So that goes like that. And I've just got to decide what exactly I do with that, whether I bother restoring it or just leave it like that, because that might be a tricky fix, I'm not sure. Or I might be able to hook a nut underneath it and then just put a bolt through anyway, so I'll have a quick think about how to do that. And then the rest of it in there, I might try soaking it in rust remover or something, I'm not sure. And I was thinking I might face off the various ends of bits just to get rid of that really bad patina on the tops of the nuts and bolts and things like that. So, and then these 3 bits are going through the sandblaster, so I'll go and do that now and we'll see how they look. So I've basically given up on that hole in the master cylinder. I'm really not that bothered about it, and I might tackle it in the future sometime. But so those master cylinder and that other bit of casting is now off in primer drying, and I'm now going to have a quick look at this pedal just to see if I can tidy up the markings under here, just, you know, sharpen them up a little bit where they've worn flat. There won't be a lot I can do with it, but I just thought it'd be nice to have the actual, you know, the checker pattern all the way to the edges. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll stick some primer on this as well. that looks much better. I mean, like I said, it can never be perfect, but at least it now has the full pattern on it, so that's much better. I'm just going to give this a quick sandblast and then stick some primer on it. Next mission is to take all of these bits and clean whatever bits need cleaning up on the lathe. Some of the patina's a bit rough and I just want to smooth bits of it out, basically, and then I'll probably sandblast it and clean it again and paint it. Gradually, my tub of rusty old junk is starting to look a bit shinier. The only problem with that is shiny metal goes rusty, so I've got to put some magical rust-proofing gel on it, commonly known as paint. Good news, the brake system stuff is all done and dry, so I can now put all of that back together. So we've got the pedal, I don't know, some spring, master cylinder, cover, the thing that holds everything together, and then all the nuts and bolts and fixings that are dotted around up here. So I've just got to remember how on earth it all came apart, which is the fun part. Well, that took a little while. There's quite a lot of parts involved in this. So it's done, all back together, looks really smart, everything seems to work. The only thing I'm missing is a cotter pin that goes where that little screwdriver is. Unfortunately, they're not here, so I'll need to bring the box of cotter pins over another day and stick that in, but that's no big deal. But otherwise, yep, that's it, done. Just got to put that on the chassis now. One other thing I forgot, which I haven't done, is the gasket. I made the gasket, but I haven't put any holes in it yet because the punches are also not here. So I'll bang some holes in and put the gasket in at some point. Nice piece of cork that goes under this lid. Well, it's creating pressure at the so there we go. It's cool. I always thought it's a little bit stupidly close to the column, the pedals. People must have had absolutely tiny feet back in the old days, but yeah, so I'm going to have to make sure I wear sensible small shoes to drive this thing. Good amount of travel though, and yeah, small amount of play which is adjustable. I can adjust that out if I want to, but I'll see how it goes nearer the time with that. But that's good. That's another job ticked off. Well, unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching. Next episode, we're going to start looking at the engine. Namely the mounting gear to hook it back into the chassis, taking all the ancillaries off, stripping it all down to a certain extent. I'm not going to take the engine to bits internally because the engine was good before. So I'll leave that for a later date if ever it needs it. But we're going to do a cosmetic restoration on the outside of the engine, basically. Yeah, so if you have any questions or suggestions, pop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, see you next time.